Two Moons. What can I say about Two Moons? Well, there's a lot I want to say. Normally, this isn't a title within my genre. For those of you that have been part of my channel, you know that I'm into Venom, Wolverine, Star Wars, and my newly acquired taste for Doctor Strange. I don't remember how this title came on my radar. Maybe it was on somebody's anticipated comic book list, or maybe somebody reviewed it. Regardless of how, somehow this title piqued my interest. When I first got into comic books, this would have been something I would have overlooked simply because I would have never given it a chance. But yet somehow this title got my attention. A wise man once said this,
But we don't make mistakes, you know. We have happy accidents.
to me, Two Moons is that happy accident. I did something with Two Moons that I don't normally do with other issues. I took a suicide dive. What is a suicide dive? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. My first issue was issue 8, and I read issue 8 without reading the previous issues before it. I read it out of order. And when I finished with issue 8, I immediately wanted to make sense of the story and start reading the other issues. I was instantly hooked, like a bass caught on a spinnerbait. Being a fan of Western movies, the time frame and the setting instantly caught my attention. Dust, horses, wagons, cavalry soldiers, Indians. Throw in the supernatural, you now have a great series of stories that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Well, in my opinion, the story begins with Virgil Morris, also known as Two Moons, who is instantly confronted with his shamanic roots. In a way, he's kind of disowning it until he starts to discover the evil that is all around them. For example, his comrades see this guy, but in an instant, he sees this. You can say he sees the spirit world. As the story develops, you see him communicating with ghosts from his past. Now, it doesn't say how they're associated, but in a way, these spirits lead him and guide him. These ghosts from his past begin to unveil something far more worse than combat. Again, they unveil the evil that is all around them. The story begins to pick up steam and intensify as the battle between good and evil continues. We find Two Moons caught between two parallels, the parallel of the physical world and the parallel of the spiritual world. Each issue grows suspenseful as you're waiting to see what's going to happen around the corner. For example, in issue 7, you have ghosts standing in the way of the Buffalo Soldiers' mission to relocate a Cheyenne chief. As they're carrying on with their mission, they see these shooting stars. But what they end up being was nothing they expected. Spirits. Being one who has read the Book of Enoch, if you're familiar with that book, it's a religious book that explains the origins of evil and the sins of the Watchers, the gods. The spirit world affects the physical. We may not see the other world with our physical eyes, but there is a battle between good and evil. And that is what Two Moons reminds me of. The unseen world trying to make itself known. The unseen world with its own agenda. The battle of good and evil in a realm we know little of. By the time we get to issue 10, Virgil, Two Moons, confronts a character by the name of Little Knife along with the dead. We find the spirit world bleeding into the physical world, just like in the Book of Enoch, where the deities plot to teach humans to destroy themselves. We find ourselves in an epic battle between Virgil and company and the dead. The evil forces want to destroy. The ghost war is here. Only Virgil, Two Moons, is the last hope. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. I basically gave you an overview of all the issues. As far as I know, that's my take on the story. As far as what I like, this story took me for a ride. Thank you for watching. Give me a like, subscribe. Like always, get a hobby and live life.